I'm Stacy Gordon. Welcome to That's My Jam. I'm having some very special company later today. My sister is coming to celebrate her birthday. Now, this is not my biological sister. This is my sister in love and one of my very best friends, Julie. As usual, Julie has requested I make a strawberry cake for her. We're going to work on that together today, so let's get started. I know a lot of people have differing opinions about this subject. Personally, I'm not someone who has an objection to a good boxed cake mix. And yes, I said good because some are definitely better than others. I have my best luck with Duncan Hines. My belief is whether you're making a cake from scratch, using a box mix, or doctoring up a box mix, my favorite way to do it, it's really more about the way the cake is prepared. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees and I've just dumped my Strawberry Supreme cake mix into the KitchenAid mixer. To that, I'll add 3 eggs. The box calls for 1/2 cup vegetable oil. I'm going to use just under that amount. Next, the box calls for 1 cup water. Again, for this recipe, I'm going to use just under 1 cup water. You might be wondering why I lowered the amount of water and oil in this cake. The reason is this. I've got a tub of sliced strawberries in syrup. These can be found in the frozen food section, and you need to make sure they're completely thawed out before the next step. This is a 16-ounce container. I am not going to use the entire container in my cake. I am going to try to add all of the strawberries, but I definitely want to leave a good part of the juice in this tub. We're going to use some of that later in our icing. Now let's get this cake mix well blended. That looks great. Sometimes it's a necessity, but if I have a choice, I would always rather make a 2-layer cake than a sheet cake. I like having that layer of frosting between the 2 cake layers, and it's just my personal preference. I feel that it's very important to use a good nonstick cake pan. Even with a good pan, I'm going to use some baking spray. That's spray oil with some flour in it. You can see how that makes a perfect base for your cake. Our cake mix is simply beautiful. Now let's get it into our 2 round cake pans. Half of the mixture in each pan. These are ready to go in the oven. While our cake is in the oven, we're going to get this mixing bowl washed out because we're going to need it for our frosting. I may not be a snob when it comes to using a cake mix, but I'm definitely a frosting snob. While I'm washing that up, now would be a great time to hit the like button for me. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and becoming part of this crazy TMJ family. The best way to know when a cake is done is not by looking at the clock. It's by looking at the cake. Do you see how this cake is starting to pull away from the edges a little bit? And when I touch it, I get a nice spring back. This cake is done. You will notice that it hasn't bubbled up or made a round top like some cakes do. That's because we added all that extra strawberry and strawberry syrup into the batter. This is just the way it's supposed to look. We want our cake to be completely cool before we put the frosting on, but we can go ahead and start mixing that up. There are 2 keys to any cake or cupcake tasting incredible. 1, the cake needs to be moist. 2, the icing needs to knock it out of the park. For this icing, I'm going to start with 2 sticks softened butter. You never want to use melted butter in any kind of traditional frosting like a buttercream. If you do, you're just going to have a big soupy mess on your hands. You want softened butter. Next, we'll want 8 ounces softened cream cheese. We'll want to cream the butter and cream cheese together. Once your butter and cream cheese looks something like this, we're ready to move on. We're going to add the teeniest, tiniest ½ teaspoon vanilla extract. While that's blending, we're going to add just a couple of spoonfuls of our strawberry mixture to the frosting. I can't stress enough how slow you need to go with anything liquid in the frosting, or else it's going to be too thin. So we're just going to grab any leftover strawberries that might be in there with some juice and start out with 2 spoonfuls. You can always add more, but you can't take it back. Now we're going to slowly start adding some powdered sugar, ½ cup at a time. That's 1 cup. Two cups. Now I'm going to slowly add 2 more spoonfuls of this strawberry juice. Back to powdered sugar, ½ cup at a time. That's a total of about 3 cups of powdered sugar so far. I'm going to go ahead with 2 more spoonfuls of strawberry juice. Back to powdered sugar. That's 2 more cups. I'm going to really get this going and see what we've got. I feel like we can go 1 more cup of powdered sugar. And if I've been counting correctly, that makes a total of 6 cups. I've mentioned before, frosting is not an exact science. You can make the same recipe 10 times, and every time it's going to turn out slightly different. You just have to keep working with the ratios of powdered sugar to liquid. Keep mixing it until you get it to the perfect consistency. I'm pretty sure we found that. Only one way to know. This frosting is perfect. It doesn't need anything else. I want you to be able to see the consistency of the frosting so you know exactly what you're trying to achieve. These cakes are mostly cool. We're about to flip them. Once we put down the first one, we're going to put on a nice thick layer of our strawberry frosting. I don't even know what to call this frosting. Strawberry buttercream cheese? That's it. Let's call it strawberry buttercream cheese icing. I like that middle layer to be nice and thick. Now we'll flip the second one. And we'll get the frosting on that as well. This cake is beautiful and it smells wonderful too. As I said, this cake is for a birthday party later, so I can't really cut into it right now. I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours, and then after we serve it later, I'm pretty sure I can get some shots of what the inside of it looks like, and by the time this is posted, you'll be able to see it. Y'all, you are going to love this strawberry cake. I truly hope you have a great week ahead. Don't forget to tune in on Thursday. In the meantime, turn off the TV, turn on some music, and just keep jamming. Happy birthday, Julie.